Hello, and welcome to World Water Week. Meaningful and sustainable change in the water sector to address the growing challenges of climate change, aging infrastructure, and shrinking public sector and a shrinking public sector demands new thinking, innovation, and reaching beyond traditional water sector actors. In today's talk show, we're taking a closer look at what it takes to drive truly systemic change. And to have this conversation, I'm joined by our esteemed panel here, which includes Jeanette Henderson, principal of the Ofwat Innovation Fund, Claire Rhodes, head of climate response at Challenge Works, and Andrew Roby, senior water security advisor at the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. Very welcome to all three of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeanette, let's start with you. Tell me a bit more about the Ofwat Innovation Fund and how relevant is innovation right now when we're facing funding crunches and the growing challenges from climate change?
Oh, I think innovation is so important right now. We cannot carry on doing things the way we do. We cannot just do incremental change. We really, really need to do things in a new way. In order to tackle these really big challenges we've got. And people can't work in isolation. They need to work in collaboration. They need to work across sectors. That's why we introduced the Ofwat Innovation Fund in 2020. It's a £600 million funding pot over 10 years, and it allows the water sector to work together, not just water utilities, their traditional partners such as contractors and that, but with green NGOs, with academia, with regulators, and with people from overseas and other sectors to come together to solve those really big, challenging problems that we have in the UK. And I think that we have elsewhere in the world as well. I mean, one of the things I've been hearing this week is about the need to introduce nature-based solutions. We've got some fantastic projects that are actually looking at gathering the evidence so we can understand what and how and where and when, so we can really mainstream those. We can move away from the grey-green solutions to nature-based solutions, etc. But we've got 109 projects across the whole water cycle doing some amazing things. And the really important thing about the fund is that it's a 10-year ring-fence pot of money. That means that companies can work outside their normal approaches. They can build partnerships with others to really, really deliver the innovation, to deliver the change, and to tackle climate change.
So, what I'm hearing from you is, I really underscore that, the need for collaboration and how you're creating those opportunities, but this 10 years of funding and the flexibility that creates, but also the opportunity, as you were just mentioning, for operators to go outside of what they might be already doing and reach across to new actors. Andrew, I'd like to come to you. I mean, we're hearing from Jeanette the need to keep innovating, but that we also need to be reaching other actors. So tell me, what does this look like in your world of overseas development, and who are you keen to see engaging more strongly to drive this change?
Yeah, really good question. For years, we donors have been pouring money into hard water infrastructure, pumps and pipes, toilets and taps. About 8 years ago, we did a legacy review because although when we install these items, they all function perfectly well, 5 years later, maybe only 50% of that infrastructure was working. Well, that's not a good result if you're using taxpayers' money. And we also realized that the scale of the money that we were providing was nowhere near enough. We need trillions in this sector, not the hundreds of millions that we were putting in. And so the need to find other sources of capital investment means effectively looking at the private sector. Unfortunately, for the private sector, water has not been an attractive sector at all. And why is that? It's high risk. Now we can reduce the risks in a number of different ways, but the main problem was the returns are too low. And so, as we know in the UK, putting up water bills is one way in which you can generate the sort of income that will attract in investment. And indeed, that very putting up bills has raised 104 billion for the UK.
Wow.
And that's one way in which we've tackled the health of our rivers problem. But the other thing is to look at the nature-based solutions that Jeanette mentioned. One very good example of this is using water bills in Costa Rica to pay for the reforestation of the watersheds above. And so water is uniquely placed, actually, in being able to not just as a commodity which you use for drinking, for sanitation, and so on, but it also is a way you can put in some of the values of the ecosystem, as Costa Rica showed. And that makes a very attractive package, I think, for investors. So this is some of the new stuff that we're learning from Ofwat, what's going on in the UK. And we're looking for the hard evidence to make the business case and take that to investors.
Very interesting. I mean, I think it's something we probably take for granted, and I think something we've talked a lot about in the water sector for many years, but very interesting to hear the UK example of putting up bills, valuing the resource appropriately, and how that can translate into better service and to better preservation of the source. Claire, Challenge Works is in the business of creating the environment for fostering innovation through competition. I mean, it's such a wonderful model. Tell me, how do you see competition as being able to meet the needs that Jeanette and Andrew have both highlighted?
Yeah, so I think I'd like to pick up and highlight three key areas. Firstly, competitions enable you to think about problems in new ways. So just to give one example of that, the Ofwat Water Discovery Challenge is a competition that was launched a few years ago, which was a direct response to the challenge of innovators breaking into the water sector. And that can be really challenging. And so the competition was targeted towards innovators and startups with promising early stage innovations. And the competition created a pathway for them to enter and collaborate and form partnerships with water companies in order to enable kind of change across the water sector. And so far with that challenge, we've supported 20 finalists and 10 winners, and capacity building support as well as mentorship for those finalists and winners too. And we'll be launching another 2 challenges over the next couple of years, so that's definitely something to look out for. So secondly, the convening power of competitions. So Challenge Works are experts in competition, and prizes enable people to think about how to actually tackle a challenge, and they're reward-based and outcomes-focused. And so they really focus on driving problem-specific solutions, and the aim of engaging a really broad ecosystem of innovators in order to collectively address a challenge. And so by incentivizing the smartest innovators, it really enables change and it enables people together to address challenges and really generate a much more diverse range of solutions to a particular problem. And then the third area is really thinking about prizes fostering collaboration. So a couple of examples of that from the Ofwat portfolio. So one is the Missions Challenge that's about to launch. The Missions Challenge is really about enabling collaboration across diverse actors within the water sector, people who don't typically work together. And really, it's mobilizing that group of people to address systemic challenges that can't be tackled by 1 or 2 water companies alone. And so we're really looking at driving change at a large scale. Similarly, another competition that's just about to launch with the Ofwat Innovation Fund is a cross-sectoral challenge, and that's being run by Innovate UK. And that's really about thinking about challenges that require collaboration just beyond the water sector, and really thinking about how to bring stakeholders together around water and agriculture to address common challenges together. So those are 2 really key examples.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Claire. I mean, as you say, I mean, it sounds very relevant. It's the opportunity of new thinking, of doing things differently through competition. Jeanette, I want to come back to you about the relevance, or the international relevance rather, of Ofwat's experience. I mean, you're primarily operating within England and Wales. That's where your members are. So how have you been able to engage with others outside of the country, with other countries, with other actors, and what has that brought?
First of all, the fund has enabled our water companies to work with partners internationally. We've got a fantastic project called the Net Zero Hub that's trying to become the world's first retrofit net zero wastewater treatment works. And that's important. We've got wastewater treatment works all over the world. They produce some really unpleasant gases that are really bad for the climate. So they're working with people across the whole of the UK, all the water companies, Scotland, Ireland, but also places like Australia and the Netherlands, to work out how to stop those gases. They've got some amazing technology where they're covering their tanks and putting this thing called an actilayer on, and they use the power of the sunlight to break nitrous oxide down into harmless gases of nitrogen and oxygen. And that's amazing. Can we imagine if we can actually make our wastewater treatment plants, one of the most polluting parts of the water treatment works, net zero? That would be brilliant. But they're then working with others, so other countries can take that away. And we know that we've had lots of visitors. People are really interested, from as far away as Brazil to Tokyo. They want to come and learn about our projects. And it's why we're here this week in World Water Week. It's so that we can tell people about what we're doing, share the fantastic innovations we're fostering in the UK, but also to invite people to come and talk to us. If there's a great idea somewhere, we'd love to hear from it. So it's an England and Wales focused project, but it reaches much further than that.
It certainly sounds like it. I mean, it sounds to me as though it's really about being able to share learnings as well, and making those learnings applicable outside of the UK, outside of England and Wales, but also bringing outside in. It sounds really brilliant. Andrew, tell us, what's the barrier then? I mean, for all of this, there's so much to gain from partnering. Why don't we see more of it? And with the with the changing development priorities, what can we expect the future of partnership to look like?
I think we've been very impatient in the water sector, jumping in to try quick fixes, fix the leak in the pipe, and we've been very tempted into small-scale pilot projects, which have not really addressed the systemic problems. And there's no doubt that you can learn from the small scale, but you've got to shift it into an economy-wide approach. And so one of the reasons why we have raised all this capital in the UK has been through this societal change that's happened over the course of the last 3 to 5 years with some very effective grassroots campaigning. And this points to this lack of accountability in the sector. Governments and companies not being held accountable for the way they're managing water. So we really need to address that challenge because that is why water rises up issues. And one, again, pointing back to the UK, the way that this became a societal issue meant that water got put into the manifestos of all the 5 parties that were bidding for election last year. And it's why Keir Starmer gets a weekly update on water, which is bringing him into the water sector and understanding its complexities. And we need his leadership.
Yeah.
And I think that's my key message for today.
One of many, I'm sure. Yes, thank you so much for that. But it's also, I think, very promising to hear that these challenges are making it to the highest level, and I think maybe so in a new way, and also at the forefront of public discourse in the UK. Very interesting. Claire, I want to come back to you. How do we take this approach from being niched in the UK and bring it to scale? Who do we need to get involved, and what challenges and gains can we expect from that?
Well, I think Ofwat's approach to really setting up the Innovation Fund to drive systemic change across the UK water sector is really inspiring and innovating. At the same time, we in the UK have a lot to learn from others as well. And so I think it's that circularity. Just to give one example, so one of the new competitions that Ofwat is about to launch is the Water Efficiency Lab. And that's been designed taking insights from similar initiatives in the US, in Australia, in Singapore, to really learn about what's been working there. And at the same time, we're expecting innovations from the Water Efficiency Lab to be pilots that could be adapted and scaled within many different contexts worldwide. So I think the challenge is really about how to enable globally processes that enable knowledge sharing, learning. We've got so many experiences that we should be sharing with each other, but at the same time then being able to root and anchor that in locally led, context-specific solutions. So thinking about that balance between global learning and localized implementation.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. I mean, it really sounds like there are so many opportunities there for those shared learnings and for getting more people involved. What I'm taking away from this conversation is that we need to come together a little bit more. We need to break across the sectors, and we need to start having more conversations on changing our core water business. So I'd like to ask each of you, what is the one change or step that you would like to see happen in the next few months to make the transition happen? Jeanette.
We really want to just hear from people who've got innovation, who've got new ideas. Come and talk to us, come and talk to our water companies. But also, we'd like to share what we're learning. So we're here, we've got a stand on the UK Pavilion. Come and talk to us.
Come and talk to us.
Come and
That's
talk
what
to
I
us.
hear from you. Andrew, please.
2 weeks ago, the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, put out an invitation to the other G20 leaders to join a Water Outlook Council. I'd like to see all of those G20 leaders responding to that request and to really stand up and make water a priority globally.
So I hear from you high-level leadership to really, truly make water a global priority. I think we've been calling on this for a long time, but I think this call from Cyril Ramaphosa is also very, very important. Claire, please.
Well, I think the Ofwat Innovation Fund has so many opportunities for everyone to get involved, as Jeanette was saying, with competitions launching kind of in the next few months, whether you're a small startup or a more established entity. And so I guess my call to action would be to get involved, come to the website, learn more, and keep innovating.
So you've heard it all, folks. I mean, there's a very clear call to come together, to be engaged. And even though Ofwat is operating primarily within the UK, within England and Wales, there is opportunity to speak with more countries, with more sectors. We want to see more of that collaboration. And of course, the greater need to put this on the agenda, to see more high-level engagement. And I think the learning from the UK example as well is that it's also up to us as individual citizens to be pushing for those issues. That's how we're also going to get some of that onto the high-level agenda. So we all have work to do. Jeanette, Andrew, and Claire, thank you so much for taking the time today to dive into the innovative ways for driving systems change in the water sector. I've certainly learned a lot. I'm sure our audience has as well. And we're certainly looking forward to how you'll continue to convene, collaborate, and transform the sector into being more equitable, sustainable, and climate resilient. Thank you so much to our audience here in Stockholm for joining us, and thank you also to our audience online. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.